Hello, folks. Papa Top 912 coming at you today with another one of our famous recipes. And the recipe for today is marinara sauce. Now, marinara sauce by itself as a standalone item, you don't necessarily eat it by itself, but it's something that you use to complement several of your dishes that you're cooking when you're doing Italian style foods, like spaghetti or chicken parmesan or lasagnas, stuff like that. Anything in that Italian range where you're going to be using a tomato-based sauce, you can use this recipe here as the base for getting started. And, if you need it a little thinner, you add a little water. If you need it a little thicker, add a little more tomato paste, just depending on what you're doing. But this marinara sauce that I'm creating is going to be relatively thick, but not like pasty, but it's going to have some body and substance to it. So I'm going to go over the ingredients here. Starting over here on the left is some tomato puree and then some tomato paste. Now, the paste has the Italian herbs in it. You can get the plain one, but I'm going to be putting several different Italian herbs in there anyway, so I just got the one with the Italian herbs in it just to start the flavor profile. Then we have some oregano, parsley, thyme, basil, rosemary, tarragon, red peppers, extra virgin olive oil, and then some garlic and onion, fresh garlic and fresh onion. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finely chop up that whole onion and one of these. This is that elephant garlic that I'll be telling you guys about. It's just really huge cloves of garlic. So I'm going to do one of those. I'm going to cut up one of those and then this whole onion. Saute it off in that olive oil, and then put in the tomatoes, add the seasonings. Now, the only other seasoning that's not up there, it is sugar, and it's just, white sugar, and we're using that to knock that acidity, that kind of bitter bite that's in the tomatoes naturally, and you add the sugar to taste. Some people prefer it a little more acidic, some people prefer it a little sweeter. Just add that sugar to your liking, and that's everything that goes into this marinara sauce. Again, it's something that I use to complement other dishes, but it is standalone. So instead of going and buying the jar stuff, just buy you a can, add your own ingredients, and flavor it up and make it taste more homemade. So I'm going to go over to the stove now and start I'll cut up the vegetables, and then we'll go over to the stove and start the process of making this marinara sauce. So I'll be right back shortly. Alright, folks, welcome back. Got my pot here, it's been on the stove. I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit more there. I'm going to put in about that much olive oil in my pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and push these onions right on into the pan. Now we're going to cook these onions for 2-3 minutes, and then we'll add the garlic to it. And I'm putting the garlic in separate because I don't want it to burn. I'm only going to cook the garlic for about a minute, and then we'll immediately add the tomato puree and the tomato paste to the dish. So I got those onions nice and coated with the oil. We just want them to start breaking down, releasing their sweetness. Alright, you can see those onions just caramelizing there. So now I know it's time to go ahead and add this garlic. Alright, so garlic's in the pan now. You say about a minute on the garlic. And we're going to go ahead and start adding the tomatoes. Now if you notice here, I got these chopped up really fine. If you like, you can do a more of a rustic and have just a chunkier marinara sauce. Mama tends to like her sauce, her vegetables out of sight, out of mind. So that's why I cut them up pretty thin, or small, And that's also one of the reasons why I'm using the tomato puree versus like just crushed tomato. So. Now I'm turning my fire down now. But like I was saying, if you want a little more rustic, you can use the crushed tomatoes. And like I said, one of the reasons why I didn't, because Mom likes her stuff a little more pureed. And then secondly, puree is thicker than the crushed tomatoes. So it's gonna have a little more body, less water in it. So got that thrown down now. Go ahead and push in my tomato paste. And that paste is what's going to really thicken this thing up. Get that nice consistent thickness that I like it to be. Alright. See how it's very viscous. That's what I'm looking for the dishes that I'm making tonight. Like I said, if I was going to make spaghetti, maybe I'll make it a little bit thinner. But even when I make my spaghetti, I like a thick sauce so that it sticks to the noodles. So, I feel like I got that tomato paste mixed up in there pretty good. So now I'm going to add my seasonings. And you're pretty much just going to add an equal amount of each one of the herbs. First one going in is the tarragon. So I'm pretty much just getting a medium coat across the dish. Then my basil. Rosemary. Thyme. Parsley. And oregano. And then the crushed red pepper. This is the only one I'm not going to use equal amounts on. Just going to put a few. 6 shakes of that red pepper. A little bit goes a long way. So I'm going to just incorporate all this in here. And then lastly, it's about 1/3 cup of sugar. I know it seems like a lot, but that whole can of tomato paste is really bitter. And we are of the style that prefers a slightly sweeter sauce versus the bitter acidic sauce. So, take a quick taste of this, and I'm gonna just let this cook on the stove on low. I'll turn my heat up until it starts to bubble, and then I'm gonna let it cook on low for probably about 30 minutes. Let those flavors marinate together, and then I'll adjust the seasonings on the back side if I need to. But right now, I'm gonna tell you, I'm probably not gonna need to add anything else. Man, that is rich. I can taste the garlic and the onions. The herbs haven't even started releasing their flavor. And I can taste the contrast of the sweet and the bitterness of the tomatoes. I'll have Mama taste this. Come over here for a second, Mama.
Okay.
Let Mama taste this, see what she think of it. Tell them, not me.
Delicious. Very
All right. So there we go. Now my worst fruit critic, she on break right now. She upstairs playing Minecraft or something, so she'll make an appearance later. But okay, so you see that now? It's starting to bubble up like a volcano. I'm going to turn my heat down now. And I'm just going to let this cook for about 20-30 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my dinner together for what I'm going to actually be using with this marinara sauce. So be right back at the end of this so you can see what it looks like when it's done. And we'll adjust the flavors if we need to. But again, I don't think we're going to need to adjust the flavors at all. So we'll be back once this is completed. Alright guys, so here's the end result of that marinara sauce here. It cooked for about 35 minutes on a low heat. And you just see how thick it is. I mean, that's what I want in mine. Like, if you don't want it that thick, you can add a little water to yours to thin it out a little bit. But that's what I need for the dishes that I'm preparing right now. So, tasted it. Didn't have to add anything else. Those dried herbs started releasing their fragrances into the dish. So that's the end of the homemade marinara sauce. I hope you try this. And if you do, leave a comment. Let me know how you liked it. This is Papa Top 912 signing off on the homemade marinara recipe.